Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you-know-what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard! Welcome to a new episode of Krazy Train Podcast. This next guest is someone I've been waiting for because the song Cherry Bomb is one of my all-time favorites. And she is definitely the most badass woman I've met, and actually the original badass from the Runaways. Let's welcome to the show a very unhinged interview with Cherie Currie. Welcome to the show. I am so honored to speak to you. I don't think you understand. This is like years in the making of like hearing your music, watching Foxes, and everything else.
Oh, Jasmin, I feel like we're old friends already. It's an honor and a privilege, honest to God. Thank you for everything that you do. If it wasn't for you, I mean, we couldn't get the word out, really. There's so many things that the left, they just shut everyone out and brainwash them. And it's without you, I think we'd be doomed. So thank you.
Well, thank you for stepping up and speaking out against indoctrination of children, innocent children, and this dangerous trend, as Paul Stanley once referred to it, of gender mutilation, cutting off your sex organs and cutting off breasts and whatever because you think it's a good thing to do because you're confused, or you think you're a girl, you think you're a guy when you're not. And not enough celebrities are speaking out against it because of their careers. Tell us what happened when you most recently spoke out against all of this.
Well, first I'm going to say, because I'm, no holds bar, when I was 28, again, the way that they can manipulate these children is to make them feel insecure. I felt very insecure. I was a fitness trainer. At the time in 1988. And, boob jobs were the thing back then. And my twin sister had gotten one after her kids. My older sister had gotten one. And I was a fitness trainer. I thought I looked great. But it was my own family that turned around when I was changing a shirt and said, "Ooh, you look awful. You really need to do something about that." And it wasn't until that moment that all of a sudden I just shut down. And I ended up getting breast augmentation. I hated it. I didn't want to do it when I was even on the table, but I did it anyway. I've hated them ever since. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, I would love to get them out at this point because I hate them. I've always hated them. The thing is that these kids are being manipulated and into believing that they're not okay just being them. Again, it's like trans the gay away. It's ridiculous. And I think the fact that I've been so unhappy with my decisions in life, I'm just trying very, very hard to say to the parents, love them enough to wait. Let them. And again, I was 28 when I got this boob job. So, regret is a tough thing. And it lasts a lifetime with these kids, what they're doing, what these adults are allowing to happen to these kids. It will last them a lifetime of misery. And it must be stopped. It must be stopped, whatever it takes. But so I went off on a tangent, but I had to share, had to share.
Free speech.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had a deep transitioner on my show once, and he can't have kids. He was talked into it at the age of 16. He's now suing the therapist, suing the school, and a few other adults that were involved in that decision-making on his behalf. What has been the main reaction towards your statements from a lot of the industry professionals, or music industry professionals specifically?
They stay silent. I haven't had anyone. I don't have a manager. They would, of course, tell me to walk the line with everyone else, but that is just not in my DNA. I have a lot of my father's blood in me, and he fought in World War II on the front lines. And that is who I am. Um, they couldn't stop me even if they tried, because I mean, I have a moral value. My moral compass is, like I say, born into me. And I know the difference between right and wrong. And I know when I see abuse. And the number one most important thing in life is to protect children. And if you can't stand up for children, you stand for nothing, morally or in any other way. So it wouldn't matter what anyone told me. It wouldn't stop me. And even if I lost my career over it, that'd be fine with that, Jasmin. Fine. Oh, absolutely.
I feel as though you'll still get other gigs. I mean, Chrissy Mayer, who's a friend, she is a comedian. And, she was almost canceled for a bunch of her things, but she does tours. She still does her comedy shows here and there. Someone actually pepper sprayed her or maced her after a show while she was pregnant. I mean, this is how psychotic these people are.
For
I
what
mean, you see
reason?
it on Twitter. Well, because she's a conservative as well. Then she was saying stuff about, I guess, Target having j- something with something with the kids' clothes. Like it was,
Sure, they had little tuckies to tuck their little penises into to make it look, on the bottom that they were girls. I mean, it's insane.
yeah.
And Target, and of course it was right when you walked in the store as well. The display was right there. I mean, you can't escape this. And listen, the majority of my friends are gay, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, gay pride for a month. Uh, what about our veterans? They've
Mm-hmm.
never been honored that way. And that to me shows that there is something so devious on the left that is, you know, pushing the most extreme, ridiculous things that go against every fiber of our beings as human beings, you know. So, and they're trying to normalize it. And I really think, how'd they start? They wouldn't have started it back when I had a Jake and he was very young, because they knew
Mm-hmm.
that there would have been blood in the gutters. I mean, and there's no doubt. But they've brainwashed adults, they've brainwashed kids. It's taken 30 years to do it. And, I know it's called Agenda 21
Mm-hmm.
and, sustainable development, ICLEI, whatever you want to call it, or, the climate crisis. They're doing everything that they can to push this one world order, one world government agenda. The only person that has stopped that was Donald Trump. Hillary was supposed to usher it in. Her husband was the first one to bring it and solidify it in 92.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't going to happen, baby. It ain't
I
going to
hope not.
effing happen. It's not, because we're still alive. The greatest generation of the children of soldiers of, World War II. They made a mistake there. If they would have waited another 20 years, they would have been able to do it. But we're not going to let it happen, no.
It's too much stuff going on right now, and I follow the news in Europe quite a bit because I live
Yes.
there here and there in the year. I just go here just to get away out of here and to stay there for a few weeks or months at a time just to chill out. But they're seeing a right wave now because
Hmm.
they've been under this dictatorship of the left for so long. And I hate using that word, but it's really what it's been and what it's become. And the
Right.
second people lose parental rights to the government, you shouldn't be co parenting with the government. You leave
No.
your kids with strangers for 5 to 8 hours a day. You have to trust that person. What do you think people could do, like parents should start doing to prevent this from happening and to get more involved?
Well, I would imagine that there are groups that are starting to pop up everywhere that, you know, focus groups. There's got to be. I feel that soon we'll be seeing them everywhere, where you can help each other out, where you have the same belief system. And, if you need someone to watch your child or whatever, that they're safe. I think that that's going to be the only way. because the fringe progressive left, I honestly don't understand how they can be so abusive. I mean, they were the ones that started the riots. They supported the riots, BLM, Antifa, and throwing people in prison, long prison sentences without due process. And then they turn around and act like victims if they even get wind that maybe if Trump goes into office that there's going to be some kind of retribution. I mean, they are absolutely blind and deaf and dumb, and there's no doubt about that. They have they've shot themselves, not in the foot. I think they've shot themselves in the head now. And we're just not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, in the words of Dee Schneider, the great Dee Schneider. And I'm pretty sure, I want to say I thought he was a conservative, but I'm not sure because I believe Trump was dancing with him or he went up on stage to dance with Trump, which is better than the Trump dance. Like I've tried to do the Trump dance before. I could never mimic it 100%. I tried at the rally.
I don't know how to do it either. Actually, I never even tried.
I have his bikini and I wore that to a resort a few weeks ago. But it just seemed like more people were excited to see a Trump bathing suit at the pool than, because people are out there supporting him. I'm praying he gets back in because he really has the children, the future of this country, like their best interest at heart.
Exactly.
Now, I know we're not allowed to say these words, but I'm going to say it because everyone already knows I'm a conservative. Like I've been conservative since I was 10. My mother went to vote. I said, why are we not voting for Carter? Her exact words, because I don't want to see an idiot in the White House. So she voted for Reagan. I'm
a Ronald Reagan freak. I love a big Ronald Reagan fan. Yes.
Me too. The library in Simi Valley is like a whole day thing to go to. It looks like a winery. Like he had a real love for California. At what age? Well, not what age, but around when did you realize that you had more conservative values or Republican values?
Well, like I said, I've always been a Ronald Reagan fan. I didn't even understand the difference between Republican and Democrat until probably like 2007, 2008, where all of a sudden I started to see, I voted for Bill Clinton. I wanted Al Gore. I was very disappointed with Bush. I couldn't believe he had been reelected. I also was a big Hillary fan. And this was just on the face because I wasn't a political person.
Right.
I was disappointed that she bowed out for Obama. But I will say that I cried when he was inaugurated, and I had complete belief that he was going to end this racism. But within just a matter of weeks, I was fully aware that I had made a terrible mistake. And that is when I started to do a deep dive into the difference between Republicans and Democrats. The fact that the Republican Party was created to stop Democrats and stop slavery. Democrats didn't want to give up their slaves. The Civil War was all about that. And small government, Ronald Reagan. So, there's just no doubt they're not the Democratic Party that of JFK. We know that. They have become a nightmare, in my view, the farthest left possible. And I live in California, as you do. And we have seen firsthand the destruction that Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, look at even Karen Bass. How could you ever
oh my God.
vote for her and not Caruso? It isn't about what she was capable. It wasn't. I mean, look at what he had done. Mm-hmm. But people just vote. And even though he had been a Republican and became a Democrat, supposedly should not have mattered because Karen Bass is inept. And because of people voting for her, look at the mess that we have to live with. And it's to the point now where, Even with my family members, we can't discuss it because I said every time I go to the market or go to the gas station or I have to see the crime or people, I'm going to blame you because
Yeah.
you vote along the party line and you're voting us right down the shitter, man.
Yeah, well, we have the loonies on the left in my town, and my friend is running for city council. He's the only conservative. I said, just say the word Republican, because anyone that votes for what's here with the city manager that won't prosecute, they won't do anything. They will not clean up
Yeah.
the streets. They let these wackadoodles run around with weapons and things and hurt people, and they don't do anything. Okay. You run a red light, they'll do something. And whoever votes for this should be paying my gas bill, my
Right.
taxes, your food, and everything under the sun because I don't know who votes for these things. I feel like they're underinformed voters out there. When we had the recall, I was heading that whole group to get signatures to recall him. I was speaking
Yes.
to younger voters like on a daily basis about Larry Elder because there's so much misinformation out there. What are your thoughts on the effects on social media and the youth of today and the decisions they make, like TikTok?
Oh, I mean, it's so, I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, news was news. Journalism was real journalism. 60 Minutes was something that you knew was going to be the truth. There is no truth out there. There's no
Mm.
truth on the networks. I mean, look at The View. So blatant. I mean, it's really, to me, uh, and that's the kind of jury that Trump had.
Yeah.
It's like The View. And there's so anyway, unfortunately, of course, there is going to be miss or dis. I don't know what kind of information, miss or dis. I don't know the difference. I don't give a crap. But the thing is that they are feeding us lies. Period. I watch Newsmax.
Hmm.
I do watch a little bit of Fox, not a whole lot. I love Tucker Carlson, but I mean Newsmax is really great, and OAN is great to watch. But otherwise, we don't get the news at all. And especially with Newsom, I had no idea that we had just been audited and that the feds found that Newsom had taken $55 million illegally and gave it to the illegals. Now we have to pay that back. I mean, when he came into office 5 years ago, we had a surplus of 55 billion,
Hmm.
and now we are in the hole for about 530 some odd billion. And he wants to traffic children without parental consent over state lines to give them gender affirming care. He wants to give gender affirming care to illegals, children, and adults. And who's supposed to pay for that? And the thing is why would you do it? I mean, the thing, but I never heard anything on the news about the fact that we had been audited. And that's brand new. I had to hear that from Bill O'Reilly.
That's where
Love
you
his
found.
show, by the way. Oh, yes. The No Spin News. Yes.
Okay,
On
that makes
first, it's called Nation or First Nation. It's a new channel. It's great.
that's good to know. Because I'm currently leading a lawsuit against Columbia University. I graduated from there, and because of all the minutia that's been going on the campuses, those are like agitators there. Okay,
Oh, yes.
some of them are even students, and they're getting paid $100 a day to do this crap. Uh, now that diploma I have, it's not worth anything. Even though
Right.
I kind of use it and I didn't use it. The fact is that if I want to go work somewhere, let's say I want to go become, I don't know, executive something to so and so company, I can't. No one's going to look at my diploma. There used to be a difference going to a doctor from Columbia versus Bergen Community College in Jersey. I picked that college because an ex went there and I don't like him. So there's a huge he talk like that.
By the way, did Biden erase your student debt, or had you paid it off?
I paid it off. It was in the 90s. But the
Oh,
thing is
okay.
that
Well,
I
you
want
look
my
so
money back.
young. You look
Oh,
so
thank you.
young,
That's
Jasmin.
my
Okay.
anti-aging whole. That's the whole other show on anti-aging, the peptides and stuff. But I mean, I paid it off. My mom paid it off, right? I want my money back. And so do 50 other people in this lawsuit. So I
Yeah.
think eventually we're going to start seeing lawsuits popping up left and right that's going against all these crazy things. We now have BLM lawsuits. You have people like Maxine Waters. What's her name? Pelosi and that other wacko, Kamala Harris, with a meme, take to the streets, burn cities down, telling them to
Right.
go cause terror in the streets. Tell them to go ahead and rip apart things and do what you want. I feel as though now we have a migrant entitlement crisis, and
Yep.
it's just everyone's one-upping that victim card, victimology 101, and you're getting all these handouts. So that's why I said, let me go ahead and, sue Columbia. And I found one lawyer to take it finally. So, if you're looking for the safest and coolest way to bet online and the most variety, of course, of games and like almost anything you could bet on, stop at betonline.ag because I guarantee you there is something for everyone who's Jewish and
Good.
against anti-Semitism. I think it's
Go
amazing what you're doing.
Israel.
Yeah, go Israel. I'm pro Israel. I wore my Biden shirt out earlier. It's at Trader Joe's, and I got a lot of dirty looks, but I'm ready to go to war.
Love that.
Santa Monica,
After seeing Kamala Harris on Stephen Colbert and the look on her face when he was asking about the riots, and she said, "Oh, they can't stop. They shouldn't stop." And I'm asking for donations to bail them. I mean, and I looked at this woman. It almost looked like she was having a sexual experience talking about these riots. So my confession is, when they stormed that Capitol, I was cheering. I was cheering because I wanted them to taste what they had done to us for 2 years, and they didn't care. And all of a sudden it comes to their doorstep, and look at them. I mean, they're so much better, so above us minions, and they got to go. They got to go. They're supposed to serve the people, and then they're supposed to come back out and live in the world that they create. And that doesn't happen anymore. And they voted for that, so these lifers have got to go. And the Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi is, Gavin Newsom's aunt. I mean, California is run by 4 families, and that's Newsom, Pelosi, Brown, and Getty.
Yeah.
He's
friends with the Getty too. He used to be like at the front at the Getty wineries as a
right.
greeter.
Yes. Well, they started the business together, Jasmin.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom with one of the Gettys, and it's smarmy, it is swampy, it is low, and look at us. And I know that Gavin now is in San Francisco. He has his people out there, his volunteers, giving alcoholics a choice of wine, vodka, whatever their taste may be, and he's keeping them drunk on the taxpayer dime instead of getting them help. And I mean, these are truly lewd acts to me. It's almost it's incomprehensible to a person such as myself or you, I'm sure. It's so wrong that people are waking up. They don't want to live like this anymore.
Was Auntie Nancy at the free alcohol that day? I mean, it makes sense. But
yes.
I watched American Crime Story, the Versace story. In that, there was a character who was a gay guy who was having an affair with some kind of political woman's husband and broke into his house. I feel as though it's almost that was taken out of Pelosi's real life. And I'm glad, I hate to say this, but I'm glad someone broke into their house. I'm hoping it was a stranger, because you put these rules out there that we're supposed to live by. You and I don't have private security. I have guns, but I can't go slinging an AK-47 or like a Glock in the street. So, but I keep them in my house. I have to.
Oh, me too. I mean, I live alone, so I have guns strategically around so that I'm prepared. And I have been prepared since about 2007, waiting. But now it's I I don't believe they could take it any farther than they already have at this point. And again, like you were saying with the illegal crossings, what bothered me so much was that we were being locked down and forced to take a drug that we didn't want. And all the illegals that came over, the millions and millions and millions, were never given a vaccination, nor were they tested for any diseases. And that right there has to show people not only about COVID not being a threat, but that they don't give a rat's ass about the people of the United States of America. We are the people of the United States of America. And these people, they're going to learn that come November. And we got to get a lot of these guys out of prison from January 6th. I mean, they've been unjustly, without due process, put in prison. And I mean, we need Trump. We need him.
It's such a shame. I don't get why people get so triggered by him. I had no idea that I had so many brain dead friends, and I guess it really divided us. One kept calling me and asking me why I voted for him, why I voted. It's like, what about the way I just treat you as a friend? How about, like, let's go to that? Like, I called you, I was friends with you when you got fired from your job. I took you to lunch, and I treat you as a human. Like, that's how it's been for 10 years.
Right.
And now to not speak to me because I'm a huge Trump supporter, which is evident, I guess. I don't know if my timeline on Twitter shows it, but I'm pretty sure it does. I feel as though you'd be some kind of an advocate for kids. Like, I see you running a group. We had Drag Queen Story Hour here last year, and I shut it down. They didn't run a background check on Mr. Pickles, who's probably a pedophile or like a registered sex offender in another state. I don't know about New York County, but in Santa Monica, you could change your name here, right? And you don't have to show a background check. Like, if you're a registered sex offender from Florida coming here to change your name to like Willie Billy, you don't have to show anything. Could show your old ID. So
well, of course, the people that are making these decisions, they're not stupid people. And again, this has been going on for over 30 years. It was supposed to be ushered in, this New World Order. And now, I mean, they just say it right out loud, New World Order. They say now Agenda 30, where they were saying that really Agenda 21 was for the 21st century. Well, that certainly contradicts Agenda 30 now, doesn't it? But, with Trump, the reason why I voted for him, it wasn't that I liked him. I really never watched any of his shows. I thought a businessman would be a good asset because America is a business, the biggest business. And instead of having politicians, let's have a businessman, see if he can fix this stuff that Obama had screwed up. And, but I'll tell you, he was a surprise for the elites. And God bless him for that, because he did put America first. Hillary was to put America last and make us just this, just keep knocking us down a few more pegs. Obama did a good job knocking us down. What was the preacher that he used to go see, not God bless America, God damn, I'm saying, there was another word God damn America.
Else. Yeah.
Right.
If you don't,
that's what this guy, this is what this Obama guy, this is what how he was raised. He to me was a Manchurian candidate because, I think he did so much damage. Bush did damage too. I mean, for sure. Yeah. So it's not like I'm just this right leaning. I see it the way it is, and I think that the people when you talk about Trump derangement syndrome, I think that people like you and I, it's a gift from God that we just know the truth. We cannot be swayed. We cannot be coerced. We know the truth, and we see it the way it is. We see the manipulation, and we just aren't going for it. So many other people, I don't know. I kept thinking, is it in the water? What is this? I mean, is it 5G? What? I mean, because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. How could they hate a person that much? But then again, I don't watch CNN or MSNBC,
Or
which
The
to
View.
me is a clown show.
Yeah.
And it isn't even news. It's just a get Trump. It's just a get Trump, get Trump, get Trump. And yeah, I feel sorry for these people because history will not be kind to them.
Yeah, I had Tom Arnold, like I've
I
never
love
met.
Tom.
Oh my God, I never
We're
met him
friends.
in my life. And he went on his podcast slandering me, calling me a drug addict and all this stuff. He thought
When
he
was
met me
this?
recently. He had some guy I dated on the show, like briefly dated, and I was the subject of it. But Tom, you never met me when I was on Stern. I met Chris Rock, I met Gilbert Godfrey, and my memory is like that of an elephant. I never met Tom Arnold. Then he and his co-host called me a drug addict, stupid, all this other stuff because I did porn at one point. But Tom, you're out there saying you want to get Trump like an angry white
Oh,
man. And that's what his whole thing was. So I went off on him the other day. I have my lawyer looking into the whole thing that they said because they might pull that down. Um, and it was sad how I found out. I was at a party for iHeartRadio and someone like brought it to my attention. But yeah,
wow.
it's
Well,
intense what people do when they're crazy like that. But yeah.
I did not know. I've never talked politics with him. He slipped me his number at a
Oh.
convention, and maybe he found out that I was a conservative. Maybe that's why, we never actually, I mean, because I would never call him. Why he probably didn't call me because I gave him my number as well. But, it's sad because I mean, they're like bullies in school. I mean, the way that they attack and the way that they speak is so, their intelligence is it's such a minimal that it's almost embarrassing. The language is just so embarrassing to me these days. And these are people that Americans look up to. They've made idiocy the norm.
Yeah. I think it's scary when you have celebrities in Hollywood talking politics and telling people how to vote. And the reason I've realized just from taking acting classes and stuff is their work somehow affects someone or relates to them personally and has touched them that they feel they have that connection to said actor, like Robert De Niro, for example, um, and who did the spectacle outside of the Trump trial.
Right.
And some people listen to them. I feel as though that's your thing. Just go act. With the craziness here, did you ever think about perhaps moving to Bermuda or the Bahamas? I'm not sure where Lita Ford moved to, but just something like that and get away from the craziness.
No, my wonderful ex-husband Robert Hayes and my son Jake, they lost their home in Malibu Lake during the Woolsey
Oh,
fire, and that was right before the lockdown. So my son had moved in with me after that, and Bob ended up moving to Hawaii, and he got remarried. I'm so happy for him. So Jake is just can't leave my son and he's here. But if he decides to move somewhere else, that's where I'll be going for
that's
sure.
that's
Yeah.
really adorable. Yep. A
I
friend of
don't
mine.
run from things,
Yeah.
Jasmine. I run towards things.
Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, your music has always stuck out to me. I didn't see the movie they did, the Runaways movie. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't bring myself to it. I just didn't want to see it. I said to myself, I'd much rather meet those girls, like the real people, instead of watching the movie. Because it's always, I don't know if it's always accurate. What are your thoughts on the film when it was made?
Well, it wasn't accurate. No, they take license to. I wish that they would have used more of my book because the stories in the book for me were far more interesting than some of these things that Floria Sigismonte made up. So I would really, and not to sell books, but
But you should.
I wish they would read my memoir because it's accurate, completely accurate, and it is stone cold the truth. And it's heavy. I mean, it's very, very heavy. I was kidnapped in 77 after I left the Runaways by a murderer that had killed 6 women. And there are things that have happened in my life where when you come up against something, life and death, I stabbed him with a knife. You know, I mean, where you come to that precipice of living or dying, something happens upstairs in here that sharpens the focus a little bit of you don't take things for granted and you are instinctively aware. And for that, I am very grateful. And I raised my son to be afraid of, you know, the boogeyman out there, because look, he thanks me for it now. But, you know, this is a very bad world. This is a hard world, and it's getting harder. I mean, I've never seen it like this. Never. I mean, the riots were very scary back in the 90s, the early 90s. But this is a whole new monster. And unfortunately, it's being peddled by the most powerful people in the United States. And again, you know, it's so funny, and I have to say how laughable this is. You know, when they say those MAGA Republicans, and I think, why don't you just say it? Those Make America Great Republicans. Yeah. You see, that would change the narrative now, wouldn't it? So they've turned Make America Great into a slur. And that's how desperate they are, you know. But I have faith, complete faith in the American people. And I know there's a lot of us. I know there's a whole lot more of us than there are those who think this feckless, old, corrupt fool that they are peddling, who can barely walk, who cannot speak. And this is who they offer us. It's really, even Rob Reiner, I saw him, and I worked with Rob. I did Spinal Tap with Rob. I love Rob. Dinner at his home, to see him just be that deranged about Trump. And the other day I just said, Rob, you wouldn't cast Joe Biden in one of your films because he can't put together a coherent sentence, but you're asking us to cast a vote for the highest office in the land. Don't you see how insane that sounds? And, you know, I just think, God bless America. I totally feel now that we're not the minority anymore, and that is a blessing. And by the way, while it's on the tip of my tongue here, when we were talking about transgender,
yes,
this transgender invasion by these social justice, you know, parading as teachers who are indoctrinating our children. I'm working with Gays Against Groomers.
Oh, good.
A film that's called Leaving Amy. Oh. And if people go to leavingamy.com and donate if they could. We're going to be shooting here at my home. Susan Olson and I are going to participate. It is a story. Actually, it was Matt when I met him. Now it's her story. He is now detransitioned emotionally back to his original sweet, wonderful, incredible Amy. And let me tell you, this human being, I am crazy about her, what she's been through, the devastation, the mutilation, lifelong tics and seizure-like, horrible physical trauma that she will live with the rest of her life. And she says if she can stop save one child, that she'll die happy. And those are the kind of people that I love and respect so very much in a world where people can't stand each other anymore. It's so great to love so completely another human being like I do, Amy. And so leavingamy.com. Okay. And we're actually working on something now that if you donate $50 or if you donate $100, we're going to try to do something super special for you. And we really need to finish this film. So they'll be shooting here for 3 days. Susan Olson's going to be a part of it. I am. And I'm so excited about it because when you it's like picking up the chainsaw. When I know this is right, that there's There's nothing that would stop me. I mean, broken glass, bombs, nothing's going to stop me from doing absolutely everything I can to stop what is happening to our kids. So this film is my new drug. You know, I don't do drugs, but this is my new drug. I love it. I feel so blessed.
No, I think it's great. And I think, you're the perfect person to do this. I met one person from Gays Against Groomers who came on my show, Mario Presents, and he was a former gym teacher. We had these conversations about, males competing against females and so forth. Was your book Neon Angel?
Yes, Neon Angel, the Cherie Currie story, was the first one. That came out in 1989 through
Okay.
Price, Stern and Sloan, which is a young adult book company. Then I rewrote the book during the filming of The Runaways, and I made it an adult book. And I was able to tell the stories I couldn't tell in the young adult book. That is on It Books, or what you would call HarperCollins. And it's Neon Angel, something of a runaway. I forget now, but it's a fantastic book.
I'm sure
And
it is.
expect a roller coaster ride for sure.
Well, I'm fascinated by the serial killer because I watch a lot of those documentaries, and there's always the one person that left was alive to tell the
Yeah.
story. Was this by any chance someone that was glamorized at any point in history as far as serial killer history?
No,
Okay.
no. And but he had other victims of just the kidnapping and rape. But I
Lovely.
really actually, because I wanted to say his name in the book,
Mm-hmm.
but but we couldn't find him, and they didn't feel that that was appropriate, on a legal aspect. Richard Wade Wright is his name. Okay, Richard Wade Wright, and
Okay.
he was an actor in Hollywood, by the way.
Really?
Yes, and yeah, big story behind, some of the friends that he actually had that came to court. Um, but that's for another day. And but Jasmine, I mean, I'm just so happy to be with you. I so appreciate you wanting to talk to me.
I had to get you on because we have the same views. You're in entertainment, and as we know, it is corroded with so many people with these views about, oh, it's okay to do these things to kids. It's okay to have drag queen story hour. You have people like Charlize Theron dressing her adopted child, it's a boy, as a girl with braids. And I don't
Right.
know if it's something in the water or just something
Exactly.
out there that just encourages these people to do this. Are you sick in
Well,
the head?
again, I honestly believe, have being in the business, I was married to Robert Hayes. I mean, I've met
Yeah.
some of the biggest stars around, and there is a mindset of a pandering, uh, all-inclusive pandering, regardless of right or wrong. They want to stay neutral for their careers while the world is burning around them. And I have to ask them, is your career really worth it? To see this, to see what is happening? I mean, that your career shouldn't matter at this point. But they have a different mindset, and they believe the hype. They believe the hype that they are better than. Watching Nicole Kidman eat a bunch of bugs, that was interesting.
Hey, so are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? If you want to have a threesome with you, me, and Adam and Eve, go ahead on adamandeve.com. And if you put in the code Krazy Train, that's crazy with a K, you can get up to 50% off of most items and 10 free goodies. That's right. Go to adamandeve.com and put in the code Krazy Train, crazy with a K, and you can get up to 50% off of certain items and most of all, those 10 free gifts. You can give it to your wife, your girlfriend, whoever.
That pissed me off. It was, they're trying to sell us on eating bugs rather than, and I'm not a big meat eater by any means
Right.
whatsoever, but you can sense the stink behind that. because there's no reason. I mean, they're trying to make it cool to dig eating bugs. And I wonder how much they paid her to do it. To me, it's really downgrading, what stardom used to be. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't look up to any stars anymore. I have no heroes. I have heroes like Amy and like Moni, my friend on X. She's a hero.
I know who Moni is,
She's
yeah.
a transgender woman that is against transing children, and I love her. God, my voice just cracked because
She
I
knows
do love
Abel, who
I
was on the
love
show
these people
before.
so
Yeah.
much. I love them as human beings. And I'm starting to cry. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're allowed to cry. At least it's for a good cause. I didn't make you cry, so it's okay.
No, no, but it's because I've been on the receiving end of these trans attacks. It's not easy. And for them to stand up takes extraordinary courage, and because they have to live in that world, and it is not an easy world. So they are true heroes to me.
Yeah, I met Moni virtually through Abel, who is the detransitioner, Abel Garcia, and it's like this whole circle of them that I speak to now and again, and I like hearing their stories and how they've overcome things. Abel's living a normal life now.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing everything you're doing, of course, but I've never really looked up to people, and I've never looked up to celebrities. So when I hear these things, like a friend of mine lives in Tennessee, I guess Jessica Biel and whoever her husband is are moving there. I'm like, oh, great. Blue people trying to like mess up a red state and turn the cities red. Awesome. I would turn them blue. Awesome. Just stay in the mess you created. You created the mess
Hmm.
by voting the way you did, and just stay there. Then you have the other type of liberals. Like I have friends that are like this, that are so overly progressive. They vote in the mess, but they don't want to stay in the shit. So they move to a red run city like Thousand Oaks and complain about Trump signs, NRA flags. It's like, move back to Santa Monica.
They complain about everything but what they've created.
Yeah,
You know,
they feel
it's
sad
total
for it.
insanity.
It is, and
I'm actually one that wouldn't mind splitting the United States right down the middle and let the
yeah,
conservatives live on one side, let the loony progressive left stay on the other, and we can sit and eat popcorn and watch them destroy each other. I'd be fine with it because I'm tired of living in their hell and the hell that they create and how really idiotic they have become. So, hey, I'd vote for that. I'd vote for that, Jasmine, for sure.
I'm down for it. And I just think it's such a different world now. Like when you had Foxes, which I was saying was one of my favorites, and I love Greg Giaffria from Angel. I like seeing them
Yeah.
play in the movie. I like the bell bottoms, and the girls were the best.
You
He's
mean
also
Jafria?
Giaffria, yeah.
Jafria,
Greg Giaffria,
yes. Greg
Giaffria.
Jafria, yeah.
I'm on his fan page on Facebook, I think, but just watching them play live and then having the CDs and stuff. But movies were so different then. I don't think they could make a movie like Foxes now, you know? And if they did,
No.
they'd probably cast a tranny in there or like a cross, just some kind of weird woke shit and ruin it.
Well, DEI has destroyed the business. And
Yeah,
even,
discerning.
it's to the point where it's just not realistic anymore. And people are tired of seeing, I mean, and my friends are gay. The majority of my friends are gay, but, you don't want grandma sitting and eating her, TV dinner and having to watch men, tongue each other on a commercial during family hour. And, and it's insane. Um, yeah, it's
What,
just, we've
what was
gone over the edge.
But what was it like working with Jodie Foster? Because I hear so
The
many things.
best.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
great. I like hearing that.
Yes. Just the best. We remained very good friends, very close friends until Hinckley shot the president, and that destroyed her. And she was going to Yale at the time. My last conversation with her was tough, and she had to really pull back because I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine what she was going through. It was tough. But I love Jodie. Will always love her with all my heart.
That
Wonderful
was
gal.
that was the first movie I saw with Jodie, and I still have the movie on DVD, by the way. And Cherry Bomb, I think, is the most badass song. Every girl, okay, that's like you are the poster child for any girl that wants to be rebellious, by the way. And that
Well,
song is
thank
the
you.
rebellious girl anthem.
Well, I really wish that I would have had at 15 years old. I wish I would have had some knowledge, because that song was written right on the spot for me to audition to, because I had learned Fever. They wanted me to learn a Suzi Quatro song instead of Can the Can or what. I learned Fever, and the girls were not pleased. Neither was Kim Fowley. So Kim and Joan went in the back room, came out with some lyrics and do 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 do, and nobody ever sang the song but me. Nobody showed me how to sing the song. Kim kind of was not a singer, but he would try to give me some form of a melody. But I came up with the melody for that song, and I should have writing on that song. But I don't. And I even took care of Kim towards the end of his life. I moved him into my home. I had to because I loathed him so much that I knew that was just eating me alive. And I had to talk to him about it. And of course, being a mother and, growing up now, it was the best thing I'd ever done. And I mean, he was bedbound, just him and I. So we're talking bedpans, we're talking bathing, we're talking, yeah. And I loved him when he died. And so I get to carry that with me instead of the anger and the angst and the bad experiences that I had as a child with Kim Fowley. But I should have, and I wanted to tell him when he was here, I wrote the melody for that song, but I just couldn't do it. He was dying and I couldn't do it. But I'm speaking out about it now because Joan knows. So I'm hoping you hear me, Joan, and do the right thing. But she more than likely won't.
It's interesting. My old manager used to work for Blackheart Productions, and she became a crazy alcoholic and just gave up her little. She worked there as a manager. I don't know which division, aside from talent, but she did something with Joan, and then she went over the edge and just quit. So a few years ago, I never met Joan.
How many years?
This was when did she? 2000 and. I want to say up until 2017 or 18.
Well, then I met her if she worked Blackheart, or I've spoken to her.
Yeah.
You don't have to say her name, but there's no doubt that I did, yes. Because Kenny was my manager from, Kenny Laguna became my manager. Biggest mistake I ever made because he took my record, Boulevards of Splendor. My truly biggest mistake was opening for Joan at the Pacific Amphitheater in 2010 after the movie had come out.
Why?
Unfortunately for me, my show was very good and I won Performance of the Year. I never worked again. And Kenny was my manager and we were offered a record deal that evening. Kenny said, "No, I have to protect you." And Matt Sorum, who was the producer, said, "Cherie, don't do it." He knew. And basically we made the greatest album that Blackheart has ever had. And they shelved it for 10 years and they let me sit and flounder until I watched the clock till my management contract was up. And then I phoned them and I said, "My management contract ended today." And they said, "Oh, we'll get you a new contract." I wouldn't sign with you if you were the last management company on the planet and you no longer have power of attorney. And then I put myself on tour to try to force their hand to release this record. Because it was my time. I was 50 years old. I was ready. And if you Google, Cherie Currie, Joan Jett, Pacific Amphitheater, you'll see some of my performances. You will see I was ready. But I was a direct threat to Joan Jett. And they took this amazing album and they shelved it. And then they ended up releasing it 9 years later for Record Store Day on vinyl, 2,000 copies. Then they walked away from it again. And it wasn't until the COVID lockdown where they released it on digital. And it did so well but they did nothing. After that, they let it just disappear. And they won't give me my record. They won't give it to me so that I could do with it as I please. I think I've suffered enough. They put me in prison for 10 years waiting. And I deserve that record. It's mine. And they should give it to me. Shame on them, I hate to say. And shame on Joan. She knew. So, I just have to call it what it is these days. I'm not going to pander to anybody for any Runaways reunion. It ain't going to happen.
Okay.
Lita does not like Kenny Laguna. They don't see eye to eye, she and Joan. It's never going to happen. And now I feel free. I'm no longer muzzled, with any kind of hope that the Runaways could ever. I've played with all the girls individually. I'm the only one that has. And, that was a nice experience. But a Runaways reunion is never going to happen.
Let me ask you this, and I'll be more than happy to refer you to someone after the show. Have you spoken to a lawyer? Because the lawyer I have has won cases against Guns N' Roses, Death Row Records, things like that, like some really difficult ones. And he's one of the best I know that has taken cases on contingency.
Well, I like that idea. So we will chat. Because to be honest, I'm done. And also we've been getting 50% of our royalties for the last 30 years which Kenny talked us into, because he said that we needed to own the name, the Runaways. And that is now up. And so I need to find something, because 50% is an awful lot of money to be given to a company. They've made probably $1 million each on each one of us girls. That's an awful lot of money. And so I'm pretty pissed off at this point. I'm tired of being used and abused by this system, by these people that just have a mindset. I wouldn't treat an enemy the way I was treated by Blackheart, by Kenny, who I loved, and Joan. In the end, I'm the one that has to live with that. And if I do nothing, I can't live with it.
Yeah. You're very young at the time when you're doing all of this. And it was, that was then, this is now. When you went to the Runaways, what did you really want to do with your life? Was it really being a band, or were you just looking for something different to do at the point? Did you have a musical background?
Well, yeah, my father was a great singer. My twin sister and I, we would sing with him at like the Kiwanis Club, things like that. But it wasn't until I went to my very first David Bowie concert in 1974, the Diamond Dogs concert at Universal Amphitheater. And I was a surfer, and I was very insecure because my twin sister, she was the popular one. She was very assertive. I was very meek. And I went to that concert, and with an open sky, and he came out on that stage, and there was a knowing. It hit me like a bolt of lightning that was what I was supposed to do, believe it or not. And so I walked in a surfer chick and walked out thinking I'm going to be a rock chick. And within like a year or so, I ended up meeting Joan and Kim Fowley at the Sugar Shack, and they just approached me and they liked the way I looked, and they just said, "Can you sing or play an instrument?" And I said, "Well, I can sing a little, but I never sang rock and roll. Are you kidding me? I'd, have my brush in front of a mirror singing All by Myself by Eric Carmen, but I was born to do this. Like I was born when I saw some chainsaw carvers at the side of the road. It was that voice in your head. It's what I try so desperately to tell people, listen to that voice. Because that voice would not let me forget about these couple of guys chainsaw carving at the side of the road. Finally, after a couple of weeks of being badgered every morning, noon and night by that voice, I went. And I walked in, and this voice said, "You can do this." And within a month or two, I was winning awards. I competed in 2005. I placed in major competitions, worldwide competitions. And I've been a professional chainsaw artist for almost 23 years. The chainsaw is the reason why I have the house I have too. So you have to listen to that voice. And that voice is the one that's also telling me about leaving Amy, that I have to be involved in this film, and the importance of stopping what they're doing to our children. It means more, it supersedes everything. Nothing is more important. And I'm then hyper-focused. And I haven't failed yet. So that voice is something everybody needs to listen to. And don't ask people's opinions, because it's not their path, you know. You have to trust in yourself, and you will not fail. And that is a guarantee.
Yeah.
Do I sound preachy? Jeez.
No,
yuck.
no, it just gave
I
me like
hope
chills
not.
up my spine. You sound like an inspirational speaker, but a good one, not like a crazy evangelist or anything like that. That's like asking for money. Like those priests that go and preach, and oh Lordy,
Sure.
the miracle's gonna cure you, and then give me $50. Oh, he's cured. It's you, not like that, but just an inspirational.
Well, good. I'm glad. Thank you. I would hate that.
I know. So why don't you throw your socials out there, and we will post this, with the podcast episode so people could find you. We already know about leavingamy.com. Then we have
Yes.
the Neon Angel book, the new one that is the adult version. And what are the other socials where people could find you?
Well, I do have a store where you can get my original book from Price Stern and Sloan. I bought out the last copies back in like 1993. If you want the original, what they base the movie on, you can go to, I think it's cherieofficial.com. Or if you can Google Cherie Currie eBay store or something, it should take you there. Otherwise, I'm on Facebook. I'm not there that often anymore because of the censorship. I am more prominent on X because I love it, because I don't feel that I can. My twin sister was thrown off of Facebook completely for posting a Hunter Biden movie poster that was, at the side of the road. And they threw her off of Facebook, never to return, and took all of her intellectual property, all of her photographs. They locked her out, and it's been well over about 1.5 years at this point. So she's seeking legal advice, as she should. But I don't like somebody telling me what I can and cannot say. I'm 65 years old come November. I know better than to allow that. So, and I do have Chainsaw Chick, CHICK.com, that you can go to see my artwork. But unfortunately, I got hacked by some Chinese, with sex on it right now, and I'm trying desperately to get that fixed. And I believe CherieCurrie.com, that was a Blackheart thing. I don't even know if that's up. But otherwise, people could find me if they want me. I'm around.
Well, thank you for your time today. And everyone make sure you go out there, and it's leavingamy.com and also Neon Angel. Check out her socials. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, and sit tight.